Hello everyone, it's Fialer. Today I'm just going to be showing you my clears for the level 70 challenges for the second week of this second Forbidden Battleground. So let's just start with the Dark Reincarnation clear. These are the units I'm going to be using. So you can see I'm using two SSR units here. I tried for a little bit to see if I could beat it with only SR units, and my conclusion here is basically that it's basically impossible to clear this stage with only SR units. My Bolzo and Listel aren't particularly built, but their skills are just so invaluable and make this map a lot easier. You can see my Bolzo is actually wearing a Sage's hat, so he is not like a super built Bolzo or anything. He's 4 stars, he has all classes mastered, and I'm going to be using Sleep and Summon. Similarly, my Listel is not super built either. She's just like an HP stacking Listel. You can see that she's wearing the SR Flail, a Demon Lizard skin, and a Njord's crown, and she's also wearing a meditation ring that's only level 10, so this is not a whale Listel or anything like that, but I do have pretty high HP enchants on her. And the skills I'm going to be bringing are Blood Dance, of course, and the other two are actually 1-cost skills, which is Bloody Deluge and the Bulwark skill. What this allows Listel to do is basically be the healer for this fight. And then I have Sonya here. Sonya is a Grandmaster with only single mastery, so I actually don't have ninjutsu on her, and that's going to make this map a lot more annoying than it could have been had I runestoned her. But I kind of rush built Sonya just for clearing this map, and you can see her. I only have Heart Bond on her. I did not raise her Defense Bond, and I gave her some minimum mastery stones, and I gave her the Leon equip set that I have. So she's not using her special equipment. She's actually using a Seal Guardian. But I did go unlock her 3-cost skill, which I think is actually very important if you want her to deal any kind of meaningful damage here, and it also allows her to stay out of danger by attacking from 2 range. And also I have Varna here with double class mastery, so she does have her ranger class mastered, and I have her somewhat built from Ancient Beckoning, so she does have decent stats. The equipment set I gave her is actually my Ares' equip set, so the enchants on her are quite good. And more importantly, she has a Scarlet Reaper, which is actually going to be very, very important for this fight. If you don't have a Scarlet Reaper, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. Although if you have a more built Sonya and Listel and Bolzo, obviously that can make up for it. And finally, I have Phyrexia here, who is just a stealth MVP for this fight. She is going to be very important in both the Dark Reincarnation and Meteor strategies. So she's barely built. She has 2 out of 4 class mastery, and I upped her bonds a little bit and gave her my Yusuke's Last Rites and Tenyo's headdress. The Tenyo's headdress is not going to come into play as far as the random buffs go. I also gave her a level 20 Ullr's Bow and a level 20 Divine Boost. Any kind of movement boots is fine. The important thing is that she needs to have 4 movement. Enchanting with Breeze is a bonus, because if you are able to get a Breeze when needed, obviously that can open up a lot of options for you. Now, if you follow my strategy, I really don't recommend that you bring in a level 1 Phyrexia, because having her leveled up and slightly classed up does allow her to contribute a little bit to damage, although mostly that's probably going to come from the sorceresses. So I do recommend that you up her soldier bond, the first bond that ups the soldier stats. Alright, let's get started with this Dark Faction clear, and I really gotta say that the Dark Faction, like this time, this might be the hardest Forbidden Battleground map they've given us yet, and that's not because of the enemy placement or anything like that. It's more because just the Dark Faction does not have a healer, and well, you can sort of heal with Licorice, but they also don't have a real tank. You can tank with like Bernhardt or Bernhardt and Ultimiller if you want to, but usually it doesn't really work. But so you can see at the start here, what I do is that Phyrexia immediately moves the Cuttlefish onto land, so I can do more damage to him, and Listel goes up there and blood dances. And you can see that the Scarlet Reaper on Varna is already doing a lot of work. If you have a very well-built Egbert, he might be able to replace Varna, but I don't think that's very likely, because Egbert has all kinds of movement issues, and Egbert of course only gets 1 tick of fixed damage every time he does an AoE. You can equip Hellfire Archers on him to get some extra fixed damage, but I don't think Egbert is going to be a very effective replacement for a Varna here. So what Phyrexia is going to do is that she's just going to run to the top there and just kite them for a while. So I'm just bunching up everyone here and making sure that I'm staying out of the range of the spatial displacement spell that the Sheikah Mage has. And I'm also placing Listel in a way so that this Mist Dancer can actually reach her and displace her. I don't want the Mist Dancer to be displacing somebody else. So what this does is that it puts the Mist Dancer in a place where I can attack her freely without needing to worry about the other enemies. So okay, here you can see Phyrexia is just gonna like think this mage real quick to get rid of his Sorks and then run away. So right here, because there's so many forests on the left side of the map here, the cavalry will not be able to reach me if I make sure to bunch everyone up over here. So I just I do exactly that. So just aiming on Varnos to put the King's Crown buff on somebody. It doesn't really matter who. I probably don't even really need the King's Crown buff here, but it's just, you know, it's just a habit. So you can see the wind pressure and the thousand arrows combined is just doing a lot of work on whittling down this Mist Dancer here. The final King's Crown buff on Sonya is necessary in my mind. As you can see, my units are just not that strong. So these enemies are chasing Phyrexia all the way to the top here, so I can just run down and maneuver Phyrexia out of the way here. I get a Tenuous Breeze on Sonya, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to be taking advantage of things like that. So Lestel here is, she lost all her soldiers, but she's going to gain some of it back by Blood Dancing here. And Sonya's going to move down one space and just Chaos Helix this Cavalry General, which puts him into a pretty easy range for Bozo to take care of him. This Mist Dancer is at low HP, so Varnish should have no trouble finishing him off. So here I need to eat a Spatial Strike. I guess this might be a somewhat RNG part of the fight, is that what I don't want it to do is that I don't want it to put me in the very, very north part of the map where the mages might be able to reach me. And the other thing is that I don't want Sonya to be displaced too far into the forest where she won't be able to move. Obviously, if your Sonya has ninjutsu, you know, that is not an issue at all. But anyway, Varna moves down, and I'm just going to hit 2 ticks of fixed damage on these guys, and that's actually going to be enough to finish off the Zealot here. So I'm just checking the ranges here and getting everybody out of the way. Phyrexia is just going to do some tiny chip damage against this guy. And everybody else is just going to run away. Sonya's going to... I'm going to let Sonya get the kill here so that she can get a stack of her talent. And with that, this map is largely over. I mean, at this point, it should be relatively easy to take care of the rest of the enemies. I will note that the AI sometimes has some variation in how they behave. So if you copy my exact moves, you won't necessarily get this exact layout for the enemies that are left over. So at that point, you may need to improvise a little bit. But there's only 3 enemies left, and I think it's pretty easy to handle them, honestly. And even if you have trouble handling them anyway, you know, you can always just restart the map. There's no penalty for restarting this map, and that's the nice thing about Forbidden Battleground. Although, some part of me thinks that maybe they scale the difficulty really high just simply because you can just try it over and over and over, which is very annoying. But anyway, because these mages don't have a movement buff anymore, I really don't need to be worried about them. Their threat range is so much smaller now. So I know Phyrexia has her talent up, so I can just get some free shots in with her. So here I'm just making sure the ranges are... Also, I meant to do that. Very professional playthrough here. So here I'm just checking all the ranges to make sure that they cannot reach Phyrexia in case I decide to displace somebody. And obviously I can't really do that right now, so the option I have right now is to simply do a normal attack against this Cavalry General. just gonna go ahead and do that right now. And I actually use Plunder here because just for a bit of extra damage, basically. So I use aim so that Varna can get 1,000 arrows up. And she's going to do her chip damage against them. So you can see right here that Listel has been left over with very little HP from the previous engagement, so I'm just going to have to Blood Dance here, even though it's not going to do a lot of damage. But you know, it's going to allow me to recover some life because of the skills I have equipped. And because now she has recovered a fair bit of her soldiers, the cavalry AI is going to prioritize attacking Phyrexia because she is a ranged unit. So I just make Sonya wait in place because if I try to attack that guy in melee, I'm going to be within range of the mages, so that's probably just going to one-shot Sonya, and I don't want to. And obviously I don't want that. So I did take advantage of the breeze here. I probably just had a brain fart and forgot that I was trying to not do that. So my apologies for that. But if you rewind a couple turns, you know that you could actually position Phyrexia and your other units in a way so that you can take care of that. You can take care of this displacement move I do here anyway. So by displacing the cavalry onto the island there, he's not going to be able to reach anybody for like 2 or 3 turns. So I sleep. So from here on, I just sleep one of the mages, and then I can just bully this other mage here by surrounding him. And like I said, there's a bit of variation in the AI behavior here, so like you might need to improvise a little bit in order to clear the stage. But once you've fought them down to just these 3 units, it should be relatively easy to take care of them. And if they move in a way that is very unfavorable, you might need to restart the map. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just how it goes. Like there's a unreasonable amount of RNG in this fight, I think. So here I know I can surround this guy as long as I kill the other mage with Sonya so that she gets a move again from her talent. So once again, surrounding this guy and bullying him. So Varna's just going to do quite a bit of damage here between her fixed damage and meleeing and mage. And Listel's also going to melee him here just to recover some of her own life, not so much to do damage. Well, this fight is pretty much over, so. Alright, Varna here with the fixed damage. I mean, in this particular situation, I probably wouldn't have needed to fix damage because their HP is so low, I should be able to take care of them. And this is going to finish it off, and that's going to be my solution for the Dark faction clear for level 70. Okay, with that out of the way, let's move on to the Meteor Strike clear. So for Meteor Strike here, I'm actually going to be using 3 SSR units, although one of them is Sherry, so that might make it easier for some people to match. So first I got Zerida here. I mean, Zerida is just so important. I think if you want to do any sort of Meteor Strike content, it's just really hard to do any of it without Zerida around. So second I have Juggler here. Juggler is just, you know, obviously he's here to tank and he's also here to heal. And obviously Zerida's Meteor Strike buff can also do that, and that's going to be very important for me to be able to sustain sustain my HP throughout the fight. You can see that I'm bringing First Aid on Juggler, and even though you're not going to see me use First Aid during this recording that I did, I swear that bringing First Aid is not a meme, okay? Like, First Aid is actually very useful on this map. If you make any sort of mistake or something and you need to heal up Juggler in an emergency, it's actually very, very useful. So, I mean, you can bring Master of Ice or Beast Shock if you think an extra attack will help you, but I do think First Aid is a very useful skill here. Next, I have Narm here. Narm, of course, as always, is always a very powerful PvE character. And then I have Sherry here. My Sherry is only 5 stars, which is actually going to make a big difference. If you have a 6-star Sherry, there is going to be a couple points in the fight where you can play it slightly different than I did because of the extra turn off her act again. I do have her t-shirt on, and it's actually only level 20, so you know, you can just put whatever armor in place of it. I think the t-shirt armor is just useful sometimes because if you feel like you're going to do some kind of risky attack, it does allow her to survive. And alongside Ranging Storm, it allows her to heal up. So her t-shirt is actually very useful now that she has her 3-cost skill. And finally, I have Phyrexia using the same set as I did in the Dark Reincarnation strategy. She is just an MVP here. So let's start with the Meteor Strike clear. So I gotta say that compared to the Dark Reincarnation clear, the Meteor Strike clear is probably slightly easier. If you have Zerida, that is. Because with Zerida, it means you are able to heal yourself quite a bit, which you're going to see later on in this clear. So first I start with the same move that I do in Dark Reincarnation, which is just Phyrexia, swapping this stupid cuttlefish onto land because I really don't want to deal with this stupid cuttlefish. I'm having Zerida buff up. So right here I'm actually going to have an RNG aspect to this strategy, which is I want the snipe from Narm to silence this squid or this cuttlefish because I don't want to have to waste my Sherry's act again yet. So if you have a 6-star Sherry, you don't need to pray for that. You can just kill this. You can just kill the squid with Sherry. But because my Sherry is 5 stars, I need to save her act again for when I start fighting the group at the bottom. So instead, I'm going to finish off the squid using Phyrexia here. So Phyrexia, even though you saw that my Phyrexia is actually quite weak, sorceresses are always very powerful, even on a mediocre unit. So I'm just going to move down everybody, and including Sherry. I have to make sure that Sherry is down lower than Juggler here, so that when this Mist Dancer runs up and attacks one of them, it's going to be Sherry instead of Juggler, because I don't want Juggler to get displaced yet, because I don't want him to take any extra hits. So unlike in the Dark Reincarnation clear, there's really nothing I can do here to make sure that I can fight one of them one at a time. But thankfully, thanks to Juggler, I can just clip their legs by debuffing them with water. So Juggler is going to come over here and then lock the tank in place, and while also debuffing that cavalry with water. Now that cavalry can barely move. And Zerida is going to come in and just take care of this. They're taking care of the Shikamage, who gets the Bolt Ranger's activation to show that you know, this strategy works whether he gets the Bolt Ranger activation or not. Sherry is going to use Raging Storm to take care of him. And then weaken the Mist Dancer here. I need Sherry with her act again so that she can weaken this Mist Dancer, otherwise my Narm would actually just get herself killed by attacking into her. So with that out of the way, Narm, you can see that even with the Mist Dancer weakened, my Narm nearly died. If your Narm has the last rights, then you know that's not going to be an issue, but my Narm is obviously not wearing a last rights, so she's gonna explode trying to attack into anything. So this Zell is just wasting his time attacking my Juggler, and I'm just going to start chipping him. And always keep in mind that the Meteor buff requires that your units stand without any units adjacent to them in order to get the heal and various other bonuses. Here I have Roundabout up, so I'm just going to attack the cavalry and get some damage on him. Phyrexia is still leading these guys around. So the faction buff has dropped now, so I'm just going to use Zerda to pop out first. So here I mobi down the cavalry again, so if for some reason you are lacking in damage at this point, you can just you can obviously just back off a little bit and make the cavalry waste another turn, but I'm just going to use Juggler to chip at him a little bit more, and then Sherry's going to be able to finish him off with Raging Thunder here. Or Raging Storm, rather. And Frekia is just going to swap with that Further Mage and run to the northeast. They're still gonna keep chasing her, and unfortunately, with the way I did this, Frekia really has nowhere to run. She's just going to die here. So before that happens, she's just going to get a final attack on this cavalry, just to chip him a little bit. I can see I'm just ending turn with a lot of my units, having them stand alone so that they can get the meteor buff heal. The meteor buff heal is just very valuable here. So now I just wait for them to come to me. Unfortunately, the meteor buff is down again, so I just gonna need to pop up again. But that's okay because Narn can just use her talent and root this guy down, which gives me more time to take care of him. And because the mages are split up from the cavalry now, they don't have that threatening movement range. So I just put my guard up in preparation for fighting them. But at this point, there should be no issues left for clearing the stage. So you're going to see me use Raging Storm on one of the mages, so I can stun one of them. It really doesn't matter which one you stun, you just take your pick and then work on damaging the other one. So here you can see I actually am going to cast a Snipe in melee range, even though I am not using an Extreme Magic Bow, and that's because I don't want Narm to be taking a full damage counter there. However, Zerda is able to finish off the mage anyway, but if I was not able to finish him off with Zerda, I would have damaged it enough to be safe here. So anyway, that's going to be the the Meteor Strike clear. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you guys next time.